Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. I am super excited about today's video because I'm going to be sharing with you 3 of my absolute favorite gluten-free desserts. Today we're going to be making some oatmeal peanut butter energy bites, some cashew chickpea blondies, and the one that I'm most excited about, the very best gluten-free chocolate chip cookies that you have ever tasted. I've been working on this recipe for several years and I have perfected it and I can't wait to show you. So let's jump in and start making some desserts.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to be making are some peanut butter oatmeal bites. For this recipe, you will need chia seeds, old-fashioned oats, some dark chocolate chips, some ground flaxseed. I pre-grind mine and then just store it in the refrigerator because we use it quite a bit. Some peanut butter. You could also use cashew or almond butter, and some maple syrup. Of course, I've got my little helper with me here today. So he is basically just going to add all of the ingredients except for the dark chocolate chips into a glass mixing bowl. I've got the exact recipe listed in the description box down below. So if you're not sure of exactly what the measurements are, just take a look there. And then he is going to mix all of those things up, and we'll make sure that we've got the texture right before we add the chocolate chips. So to know whether you've got the texture right, you want to just reach in there and just try and form it into a ball. And if you can form it into a ball, you're looking good. If it's not quite sticky enough, you want to just add a little bit more peanut butter or nut butter before you add the chocolate chips. Then go ahead and dump them in. Next, I am going to start forming my balls. I am going to roll each one into about the size of a golf ball and just continue until they're complete. And this is what our finished product looks like. I usually like to make a double or triple batch of these and then freeze some and keep the rest in the fridge. These will keep in the fridge for at least 10 days, possibly more. They never last quite that long in our house. Our next recipe is going to be cashew butter chickpea blondies. I know what you're thinking. Chickpea blondies do not sound good, but trust me on this, these are delicious. So again, I'll have the recipe listed down below in the description box, but for this recipe, you're going to want to go ahead and use some chickpeas. You can either use canned chickpeas or you can use dried, soaked, and cooked chickpeas. We're also going to use some cashew butter. Now, you could substitute out a different nut butter here, but I think the flavor of the cashew butter really makes it distinctive. Maple syrup to sweeten, and then I've just got some dry ingredients here. This is baking soda, cinnamon, and sea salt. And then we're also going to use some dark chocolate chips again. We are basically going to put everything into a food processor except the chocolate chips. We'll save those for the end. So everything but the chocolate chips is going to go into a nice high-speed food processor, and you can go ahead and puree that until it looks nice and smooth and creamy. Then I'm going to go ahead and spoon this into a greased 8x8 baking sheet. This is going to be pretty thick and seem pretty sticky as you're trying to spread it out, but it will rise a little bit in the oven, and when it is done baking, it'll be the exact consistency of like a brownie. Then you will go ahead and sprinkle some dark chocolate chips over the top. However many you like is just fine. We tend to be a little bit heavy-handed with them in our house. Then I also just like to kind of push them down into the batter so that they don't pop out while they're baking. And you can see here that we are all anxiously awaiting these brownies to come out of the oven. Even the dog, there she comes. up are our delicious gluten-free chocolate chip cookies. I'm going to start by preheating my oven to 350, and then I will begin mixing my wet components in a stand mixer. I've got some softened butter here, some softened coconut oil, a little bit of coconut sugar, some maple syrup, and some eggs. While that's going, I'm going to go ahead and add in my dry ingredients. So I've got some baking soda, some salt, some almond flour, and some oats. One of the things I love about this recipe is that everything is done in one bowl and you can make a huge amount at one time with very little cleanup. Then we will remove our bowl from our stand mixer and go ahead and add in our chocolate chips. We like to use dark chocolate chips in our house, but you can use whatever kind of chocolate chips you've got, and just go ahead and mix those up with a wooden spoon. So next I'm going to get these laid out on my cookie sheets. Keep in mind when you are shaping your dough, it's gonna feel a little bit wet. They're not gonna be sort of firm enough to be able to actually roll into balls. So it's a little bit wet, a little bit sticky. You're just gonna go ahead and fill up your cookie sheets. Keep in mind also that I am making like a triple batch of cookies. I like to just bake once at a time and just have enough to freeze and have some to keep in the refrigerator for when we need them. So I've got quite a bit going on here. So I like to cook these for about 11 to 13 minutes per sheet, or until the edges look nice and brown and crispy. That's kind of the trick to getting the perfect consistency with these. A lot of times with gluten-free cookies, I find that they are either really dry and they taste overbaked, or they are really mushy and they kind of fall apart. So that's kind of the sweet spot there. As I mentioned, I made quite a few batches of these. I always figure if I'm going to get my stand mixer out and all of my baking ingredients, I might as well bake like 2 months worth of dessert at a time. These cookies freeze really, really well. Basically just pull them out of the freezer at least 2 hours before you want to use them and just store them in the refrigerator and they will hold up great. And of course, here's my sneaky toddler trying to steal a whole container of cookies without me noticing. And there you have it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you enjoy this kind of content, please let me know in the comments down below. Thanks. See you next time.